Sometimes you feel tired before the day even begins. Not the kind of tired that comes from lack of sleep, but the kind that sits just beneath the surface. You wake up with your jaw slightly clenched, your shoulders already a little tense, and your mind halfway into a conversation you haven't even had yet. You're not sick. Nothing dramatic has happened. Life is just full. And yet something in you feels like it's constantly holding its breath. You lie down at night, hoping for rest, but your thoughts keep flickering like a screen that won't shut off. Even when the lights are off, your body isn't fully convinced that the day is over. And then, one day, you see it. Not in yourself, but in everyone else. Right there, in public, in silence. And somehow, that hits even harder. Let me show you what I saw. I live a little outside the city, which is lovely most of the time, but it comes with a downside. The connection to Amsterdam city centre by public transport isn't exactly ideal. And while that may sound like a weak excuse, it's the reason I usually end up taking a taxi instead of the metro. It's not just about convenience. By the time I've paid for parking in the centre, I could have gone there and back in a cab without the stress of trying to squeeze my car into a space clearly designed for a bicycle. But last week, I decided to take the metro anyway, and honestly I felt like I'd stepped into a science fiction film. All around me, row after row, people were sitting hunched forward, elbows on their knees, staring into their phones. Every single person. No exceptions. It was like the entire carriage had agreed to ignore the world. I'd seen this kind of scene before, in comics, cartoons, exaggerated sketches. But now, I was standing in it. And it wasn't funny anymore. It was sad. Now let me be clear, I'm not against phones. Far from it. I think they are one of the most brilliant inventions of our time. And considering that nearly every major electronics brand and telecom provider has been a client of mine at some point, I'd be the last person to bash the technology itself. But as with everything in life, the question isn't whether something's good or bad, it's how you use it. A phone can connect you to your loved ones, guide you home, help you grow your business. But it can also disconnect you from the person sitting right in front of you. Food is wonderful until you overdo it. A car is practical and protective until you're speeding drunk down the highway. It's not the tool, it's the way we use it. So what actually disturbed me about that metro full of people with their heads down, it's not that they were on their phones, it's that they were gone. The world around them, the real world, had disappeared. Not because it wasn't there, but because their attention had left the room. And when attention leaves the present moment, presence leaves with it. What remains is a kind of emotional vacancy. And that, over time, drains the soul more than we realize. 500 years ago, life was pretty straightforward. You woke up, took care of your children, maybe hung the laundry, chatted with your neighbor, prepared dinner, and in the evening, you sat by the fire with your family. That was the rhythm. Slow, grounded, human. Now, compare that to today. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded. 200 news channels, emails, texts, voice notes, social media, notifications, a colleague calling, a client complaining, a message from the tax office, a worried friend, a sick child. Our nervous system is under constant attack. Even when we finally lie down in bed, we scroll one last time, just to be sure we didn't miss anything. And the whole loop begins again in our heads. The mind spins, the body tenses, and falling asleep becomes a slow negotiation instead of a peaceful surrender. Here's the truth. Our body and mind weren't built for this level of stimulation. Not even close. We are overloaded, constantly. And the result? chronic tension, restlessness, fatigue, a nervous system that doesn't know when to switch off, and a brain that mistakes overconnection for meaning. So what do I suggest? Do I think you should sit on a yoga mat, humming mantras while sipping herbal tea? No, but I mean you could. And if that helps, wonderful. But it doesn't have to be complicated. For me, it starts with a few personal rules. Nothing extreme. Just daily moments where I protect myself from input, where I create space, where I invite silence. Rule number 1, when I eat, I eat. That's it. No screens, no news, no phone buzzing on the table. Just food, just me. I taste, I chew, I slow down. It's better for digestion, and honestly, better for my soul. Rule number 2, when I cook, I cook. It's a moment to return to my senses. The smell of garlic, the rhythm of chopping, the warmth of the pan. I'm not multitasking. I'm there. Rule number 3, when I have a view, whether it's a mountain, a skyline, or just the tree outside my window, I look at it fully. I let it in. I don't dilute the moment by scrolling through other people's sunsets. And finally, when someone is at my table, their phone stays face down. Not because I'm old-fashioned, but because I believe attention is a gift. If you want to text someone, fine. Get up, walk away from the table, and do that elsewhere. But if you're here, be here. Because the moment we treat conversation like background noise, we lose something sacred. These little moments, eating, cooking, observing, sharing, sound simple. But when you add them up, I easily spend 2 to 3 hours a day unreachable. And in that space, something beautiful happens. My mind slows down. My body breathes again, and sleep returns as something natural, not something I have to fight for. Try for a week. No grand rituals, no lifestyle overhaul. Just small intentional pauses. I can't promise miracles, but I can promise this. What you feel might surprise you. Because rest, real rest, doesn't come from escape. It comes from presence, and your nervous system has been waiting patiently for it. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real challenge. Not learning how to escape, but remembering how to return to ourselves, to each other, and to the kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, but full. Because in a world that constantly pulls your attention outward, choosing to be present is no longer the default. It's an act of strength. So the next time you feel tired, not the kind of tired that sleep alone can fix, but that deeper sense of restlessness, don't add more noise, more input, or more activity. Instead, try doing the opposite. Create space. Let the moment breathe. See what happens when you give your nervous system something it may have forgotten it was allowed to have. Stillness. Without guilt. Without distraction. Just you. Fully here. That, I believe, is where real rest begins. Not by escaping the world, but by choosing to meet it, quietly and fully awake.